Hey, good Monday evening, everyone. This is Mitch. Hope you guys are staying safe out there. I got you a weather update talking about what's going to happen the rest of the evening and what could potentially happen tomorrow for your Tuesday, which could be a big time severe weather outbreak. And then for your Wednesday, we're going to start to break that down. I've had a lot of questions in the comments wondering about Wednesday, and rightfully so, because it is a pretty large area that could be impacted by some significant severe weather in more heavily populated areas. So there's a lot to discuss in this video. Quickly, I want to go on and jump on what is going on right now. If you guys have not subscribed, definitely consider doing that. It goes a long way. Like the video if you like it, and I appreciate the amazing support. Anybody got anything I can pray about, please put it in the comments below. It gives me an opportunity to pray over it. Gives others an opportunity to do so too. And there's people being impacted by some nasty weather right now. So let's go on and look at the radar scope. This is as of 6:40 Eastern time, so 5:40 out here. So obviously by the time some of you guys are watching this, these storms will be somewhere different. So this is as of right now when I'm making this video. You got pretty much two dual supercells right here. The one behind this one is the weaker one, smaller one, and then you got the one right here. Both of them are tornado warned now. So this one right here, you see this hook signature? The velocity scan pretty much shows that you have definite rotation right into here. You look at Calksville, hopefully I said that sound right. You got a tornado that's about to potentially move either close or right over top of your area. You see how you have two different colors right here, red right here and green right here? That is what we look at when we look for rotation, the velocity scan. So you obviously have some sort of rotating wall cloud or either a tornado on the ground right here. In fact, Reed Timmer is actually on the storm right now, and he pretty much confirmed the tornado was spinning like crazy out there, and it was in the process of dropping. So this is trying to pretty much wholesale go to a big time tornado. Like I said, by the time some of you folks watch this, this will obviously be past tense. So this is moving in all these small towns right here. I know this is mountainous areas, but this is going to be a dangerous storm to watch over the next several hours, as it's probably going to cross the entire state of Arkansas, I would not doubt, and promote some type of big-time tornado risk going forward here as we get a little bit closer here. And then there's storms behind it. These are finally busting through the cap here, and we'll have to watch these storms too as they continue to move closer to the Oklahoma-Arkansas border, but these storms can be dangerous for sure. So enhanced risk still up for this region. That is level 3 out of 5. The only thing that changed from this morning to now is you have a hatched risk, which means you have not only a 10% risk of seeing a tornado. We've already seen it, so it's already a 100% chance somewhere, right? Now, but not only a 10% chance to see a tornado, but a 10% chance to see a significant tornado, which is an EF2 through an EF5. You've already had large hail. I've seen somebody already report the size of tennis ball size hail just outside of Fort Smith. So this is the real deal, folks. For you folks down in Dallas-Fort Worth, there's still a question on whether that cap breaks loose. But let's take a look at the latest HRRR model and see what we got going on here. We're going to continue through the overnight hours. These supercells from what's going on in eastern Arkansas will continue to promote a big-time severe weather threat in areas of more so northeast Arkansas and central Arkansas. Watch out Little Rock as the sun's going down here in the next couple hours. Some supercell development. Anytime I say supercell, think rotating thunderstorm. Think a tornadic potential with a storm. So you still got these storms popping up here in southeast Oklahoma, areas of southwest Arkansas. So you have to watch these storms also as you're getting into the more so the overnight hours. So, these storms could also move into the Quad Stage region. Watch out even Memphis. Maybe over the next several hours, you guys could have a severe weather threat, but I think they will lose some of the dynamics in place for a big-time severe weather as far as tornado threat overnight. But large hail and damaging winds still there. But this is ongoing right now, and I know a lot of you folks are watching the people who go live on YouTube, like Ryan Hall and a couple other guys that do an excellent job going live, and rightfully so. I'm here to just make videos and try to keep y'all alert in the future tense, right? So here's the significant tornado parameter, right? Over the next several hours, it really begins to maximize over central Arkansas as the sun's beginning to go down, and a tornado threat is just ongoing. You see these 4 and 5 and 6 values, nothing too crazy, but there's going to be a tornado threat with any storm. Now, you're lacking some kinematics, which is that wind energy aloft to help rotate these thunderstorms, but you have enough in place. You certainly do, due to the fact that you have pretty much other maxed out parameters like the surface heating, the surface dew points, and basically this high-end cape in place. So you have plenty of that for sure. So let's keep going forward. I want to remind you guys, I'm going to talk about the Wednesday threat too. So skip ahead if you really want to know about the Wednesday threat. But we're going to, obviously break it down from earliest to latest. So let's go on and talk about the risk for our Tuesday also. So going forward, nothing has been upgraded to a moderate risk. You just have a large enhanced risk along a dry line. And the next thing is the moderate risk, but you're just still sticking at this enhanced risk, stretching all the way from Iowa all the way down to areas of central Texas. Then you have a large area of a slight risk too. Tornado risk. Only a 5% risk of a tornado. You would think, okay, and when we were talking last night, Mitch, you were thinking this was going to be a huge deal. Well, the thing is it could be. You have a ton of parameters in place, a ton of dynamics in place for explosive thunderstorms, but you have a couple limiting factors, especially in areas like Kansas, Oklahoma, maybe Nebraska, something that we call a CAP, which is warm air aloft, and it's basically stable air aloft that prevents updrafts from really rapidly rising. So therefore, you can't have any thunderstorm development. Not only can you not get any tornadoes or anything in this setup, you can't even get a thunderstorm to form. So you have all these ingredients sitting there ready to kind of explode through the atmosphere, but they're kind of just sitting at the surface because they can't break through a cap. Now, there's other things also like mid-level dry air, what we call an elevated mixed layer. And there's so many other technical terms that go into why these storms are going to have a hard time at kind of getting going here in the Midwest. But what we do know is if they do get going, it can be dangerous. But right up here near the triple point, for you folks in Iowa, you guys are in for, I think the most probably potent setup, as you have a 10% risk to see a tornado and also a hatch 10% risk to see a damaging EF2 or higher tornado. And that is because you basically have all the dynamics in place up here. You don't have any kind of lack of forcing up here. The only thing that you're probably somewhat lacking is dew points. So I can go on and on about this, but let's go on and just show you what the latest HRRR model breaks this down here. So we're getting going here in time. We're getting into Wednesday. I'm sorry, we're skipping ahead here. We're getting near Tuesday. So this is about Tuesday midday. You notice there's no real activity going on right here. Nothing. But we're going on a couple hours, another couple hours, and look at these supercells to explode in southern Minnesota and then northern Iowa. So I really think if anybody's chasing, this will obviously be probably, and honestly probably be the best area to chase and the most dangerous setup for storms. I think this is where the supercells are going to really start popping off here. But you're looking right here, you're thinking, well, where's the storms right in here? Well, on the HRRR model, they really don't get fired up. They eventually do, but it goes straight to a linear look, which is basically just a line of storms. So the cap isn't able to really erode in time for it to take advantage of all these dynamics in place. But we certainly need to watch out what's going to happen here. And then you have a severe weather threat down here too, but it can be more messy, more severe weather for Louisiana as you're getting into the afternoon hours. I think you could have some more severe weather, especially in southern Arkansas. Watch out Dallas-Fort Worth. You guys could get an isolated supercell that pops up here. And then probably some nasty weather as you're getting into the late evening hours in Mississippi tomorrow evening and night. But this really evolves into a linear kind of setup. And really, if anything can get going, damaging hail is going to be a possibility. We're trying to predict where a storm is going to form. It's next to impossible, all the way from North Texas through central Oklahoma, through eastern Kansas, and then through eastern Nebraska. It's going to be very, very difficult to predict where any storm is going to form in this kind of setup. So moving forward here, we'll get a closer look at Iowa and what could potentially happen here going forward. And but the next thing we'll look at here is the rise in dew points. So you look at things like the surface moisture, you look at CAPE, what kind of convective energy rises in this kind of setup. You look at the low-level jet, what kind of kinematics do you have in place for this kind of setup. You look at all these things, and you pretty much have all the ingredients here for a large-scale severe weather outbreak. But like I said, you got that cap, and it's preventing storms to really getting going here. So sorry I had to pause the video there. I am having crazy internet issues right now, to the point where this was the first video I've ever made where I literally had to stop in the middle of the video and figure out what was going on with my router. So definitely having internet issues this evening. So sorry about that, guys. But let's get going here. You see this rise in these dew points, these 60s. This is a huge and massive moist sector that really builds into the middle of the country and continues to do so all the way up into Iowa, all the way up into the triple point, which is basically where that surface low meets and then that dry air is clashing behind it, and where you have the most substantial probably kinematics and wind energy in place right here. But you have a big time dry line setting up here, dividing that desert dry air and then that moist warm Gulf air rising all the way up into Iowa. You got that in place, and we'll stop it for around late afternoon, early evening. You also have this high-end cape in place. I mean, look at this convective energy right here. You got cape values reaching on average well over 1,000 joules per kilogram at the surface. So you have a lot of energy out here at the surface, but can it bust through that cap aloft? So that's a big question here. But a ton of storm fuel for these storms to fuel off of, right? So you got that going for you. And then, let's go on and look over here at the low-level jet in place that really could sustain a nasty, rotating of these updrafts. And I'm having a hard time finding it. I'm trying to do this more on the fly this evening, which is not going well here. But here's this low-level jet here in place. It is massive. It is very broad, with this surface low right up here, creating blizzard conditions as it starts to slowly become neutral to negatively tilted. So right here at this triple point, you have a low-level jet pushing 40, 50, maybe as much as 60 knots up in this region. So the highest tornado threat in general is going to be, as far as it actually coming to the surface. You have the ingredients there for tornadoes all the way down to Texas. But as far as it's actually developing, Iowa would probably be the highest threat level as far as it's actually coming into friction. So it's something we need to watch. I can tell you, actually, confidence has decreased since yesterday. It's increased but decreased, meaning it's increased the fact that we have a little bit more confidence in this area, that there is going to be a substantial cap in place, and it's going to be very difficult for these storms to really get going where you have the most high-end thermodynamics in place. So let's go on and talk about the Wednesday threat, and hopefully you guys have held through. It's been a kind of a sloppy video. Like I said, having these internet issues, they're killing me. Thankfully, I'm going to have a Spectrum guy out here, and we're hopefully going to be back rolling. Hopefully, tomorrow morning I can get you guys a decent video in without any major disruptions. But enhanced risk up for a very large area, stretching almost all the way to Chicago, all the way down to Jackson, Mississippi, all the way through Shreveport, Louisiana. This is also including almost the entire state of Arkansas. Probability, as far as what we can see here, 30% chance to see severe weather in this red area. This hatched area, which almost covers pretty much almost 80 to 90% of the red area in general, that is basically a 10% or greater probability of seeing significant severe weather. What that may be, tornado, large hail, big question mark. So this is a pretty large area to cover, and trying to figure out for your Wednesday where the nastiest weather is going to be is very hard. But I think Arkansas is going to be under the gun. Watch out Memphis, Western Tennessee. There's a couple things that could limit the severe potential for especially areas further south where you have just more moisture in general. One being the fact that you could have a lot of morning convection, which could help stabilize the atmosphere for a prolonged period of time throughout the afternoon hours, which may help to limit any type of big-time severe weather. But we really have to see how that unfolds. But let's go on and look at what we do know. And what we do know is you got this surface low that will continue to march across the northern part of the country, the Dakotas. It will become negatively tilted right here tomorrow afternoon. What happens when something goes negatively tilted? Well, the dynamics become maxed out, which means you have a Yankee out the southwest of these moistures, of this low-level moisture, dew points into the 60s, all the way up into Illinois, the areas of the Ohio Valley near Chicago. So you have a broad, moist sector because these winds are coming out of the southwest at the surface and bringing southwest and south out from the surface and bringing in this high level of moisture at the surface. So you're going to have plenty of moisture in place down here. It's going to be downright almost tropical right here as this big time surface low cranks up here, and little embedded pieces of energy flies along the base of the trough. But this becomes negatively tilted, it becomes very dangerous, and a blizzard begins to get cranked up across portions of the Dakotas. You could see 2 to 3 feet of snow up there. Really incredible there. But only thing we can look at is we can start out the HRRR model, the latest long range, and we can look basically in the beginning stages of this event. So we'll look at Wednesday morning. You already have morning storms potentially from Missouri, northern Arkansas, maybe some stormy action in Tennessee. And then we get into about the midday time frame. And you notice nothing is really popping up yet. You're starting, and let's make sure we get this right here. All right, let's get all the way back to Wednesday. And you get all the way to Wednesday about midday. Notice nothing really substantial going on down here to the south, but this is still around 12 to 1 p.m. Wednesday. So you're watching for any storm coverage that gets going into the afternoon hours, which I think it will. But you already got ongoing convection, an ongoing line of storms that's really already flowing through Illinois. But this will basically, I think, be almost like a quasi-linear convective system, a squall line with embedded rotating storms in it. So I think Illinois, maybe Indiana later in the afternoon, you're going to have embedded supercells in this line of storms, and it could be a rain wrap situation with rain wrap tornadoes. It really could. If you look at the NAM looks kind of different. You start this Wednesday morning, you're getting into Wednesday midday, and you already have a ton of convection going on for even as far south as Louisiana, Arkansas, Missouri, Illinois, all the way up to Wisconsin. You already got ongoing convection. So what continues to fire up? Well, I really think this area of storms right here, right where you basically have probably more in the way of kinematics, maybe less in the way of thermodynamics. Kinematics meaning that wind energy. So obviously, we always are looking for the area that's overlapping with the most dynamics in place, where you have your wind energy, and then you're overlapping with your high-end moisture at the surface, and then that surface heating and that cape. So what we do know is there's going to be a large, expansive area of storms stretching through all these states right here. But how detailed can we get? We can't. What we do know, what the NAM is showing, is it looks kind of messy. Right? It doesn't look like you're going to have a lot of individual discrete supercells popping up in this kind of situation, but you could have a broken line of embedded supercells, rotating storms that are really getting going here. But maybe as you get into the late afternoon hours and the evening hours, watch out Arkansas. Some supercells begin to form again for your Wednesday. Already ongoing severe weather right now as I'm speaking. And then this quickly goes to more of a linear look, and maybe an intense line of storms begins to develop. But look at all these storms also in Louisiana. Lack of forcing down here will be a kind of a limiting factor, but we have to see how this is going to unfold. And unfortunately, we are not going to know a ton about this until we get to about 24 hours out from right now. So I'll keep you guys updated. What we do know is you're going to have a moving warm sector, plenty of moist air in place in this region, plenty dew points reaching the 60s all the way up into southern Wisconsin. What we also do know is you have surface cape values that, aren't as crazy as Tuesday, but you don't need them to be when you have all these other dynamics in place. But you have cape values reaching almost 1,000 joules per kilogram per the latest Euro, all the way up into Illinois. It's not really a great thing to look at from the European when you're in the convective model range, but I don't like looking at long range NAM. Sometimes it's a little wacky. But you have cape, obviously more cape building down to the south where you have better instability building off those more moist air down here. But you're going to have energy in place. Nothing compared to the day before, but you're going to have a lot of energy right here. But one thing you do have in place of this is you got this wind profile in place. So you're going to have an expansive low-level jet ripping through the Quad States region, the Ohio Valley. Low-level jet pushing 50, 60 knots in this area that's going to be rotating these storms. So you're going to have these storms spinning big time, I really think, regardless of the storm mode, meaning regardless if it's a line of storms, discrete storms, all these storms in this enhanced region that's up right now for these regions are going to be spinning. So dangerous setup Wednesday. Let's briefly talk about the snowy side of this. Folks in the Dakotas, North Dakota could probably have an historic blizzard on their hands. But right now, I'm just going to show you the snowy side. This is going to get cranked up tomorrow afternoon. So it's going to start about midday, actually, for areas of northern South Dakota and the entire state of North Dakota. This continues for about 24 hours, 36 hours, probably snows for a good 48 hours in certain areas. So this is all the way out to Friday. So it starts snowing for certain areas as early as tomorrow midday and lasts potentially as late as overnight Friday into Saturday morning. Crazy system. And this is what happens when you have a negatively tilted trough. You get intense moisture return, and you get dynamic setups that, you have severe weather on one side of the low and a blizzard on the other. But look at this snowfall totals. And guys, this isn't some wacky model. This is the National Weather Service in North Dakota predicting 2 to 3 feet in areas of North Dakota. Just crazy snowfall totals for April, even for this geographical location. I mean, we're getting into mid-April, and this is insane. So this is going to break many records. This is historic. It's getting overshadowed a little bit by the severe weather, but this is honestly just as big of a topic as severe weather. So that's all I got, guys. Sorry for the sloppy presentation. The lack of Wi-Fi, my internet has been bugging the mess out of me this afternoon. And it really has distracted my thought process and being able to communicate with y'all properly. But stay safe out there in Arkansas, okay? For real, look out for one another and be on alert because these supercells will be going on throughout the night. So I'll give y'all an update tomorrow morning on what's going to happen for tomorrow. God bless everybody. Stay safe, and I'll talk to y'all soon.